up. Sorry. Oh. Dad. Dad.
Son,
Dad,
awake.
Dad.
Before sunrise, he's your son.
Dad, come on, Dad. Dad. Whoa. You promised.
Okay. I'm up.
Yeah.
Look, Simba. Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
Wow.
A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun. One day, Simba, the sun will set on my time here and will rise with you as the new king.
And this'll all be mine?
Everything.
Everything the light touches. What about that shadowy place?
That's beyond our borders. You must never go there, Simba.
But I thought a king can do whatever he wants.
Oh, there's more to being king than getting your way all the time.
An absolutely brilliant scene with such theme and depth that we could easily spend an entire semester breaking down the nitty-gritty elements to that conversation. There's so much involved in that scene. That's why this entire lecture is going to be dedicated to that scene itself. And still, we will not be able to scratch the surface. But hopefully, I'll be able to provide you some key topics that spark your interest in which you can further look into on your own. So first thing first, let's start with the symbolism. What did you see in this spire? Well, what you should have seen is an unfinished pyramid. Now, an unfinished pyramid has a lot of symbolism. It's such a powerful symbol that it's on our money. So as you can see, the unfinished pyramid has an eye at the top in the back of our money. What do you think that means? There's an eye on the top of the pyramid for the same reason Mufasa decides that Zazu, his bird, should be one of his chief advisors. But also, the reason the pyramid is always unfinished is because that which exists at the top of the pyramid needs to be made from something different than the pyramid itself. So, all across different monuments, there's a different top, a gold tip. Or in the case of the Washington Monument, an aluminum cap. And there's a theory that goes along with this. The idea is that what exists at the top of the pyramid needs to be made of different stuff. Because that which exists at the top of the pyramid will exist at the top of all pyramids, symbolically. So the theory is that which at the top of the pyramid is something that will make you successful regardless of what pyramid you are building. So think of Mufasa's pyramid, okay? Mufasa's pyramid is his culture, is his society, is what he built himself. But what exists at the top? Well, he had to choose his chief advisor as Zazu and Rafiki. So the top of his pyramid is a theme that he must understand his own weaknesses. Think about that. So what sits at the top of these pyramids are universal themes. We've discussed themes already in this class, and here we go again. The theory is that what exists at the top of the pyramid is universal to all pyramids. What you will build, what gets you to the top of building your pyramid, is something that will get somebody else to the top as well. Those are universal things. Work hard and you will succeed. That's a top of the pyramid ideal. That's a top of the pyramid rule for life. That's a top of the pyramid universal theme or universal code. For Mufasa, it's learn to understand your weaknesses and recognize your own mortality. That's at the top of his pyramid. But people who follow that will also get to the top of their pyramid. If they understand that they have a limited aspect of knowledge, and yet they're humble enough to keep as their advisor knowledge itself, knowledge of the universe around them, knowledge of their culture, their town, their community, knowledge of what's going on, that is a theme that will help anyone succeed. That's why the top of the pyramid is different. Pay attention to the attrition that creeps in your kingdom, that scar element. That is not something that will just help one person succeed or rise to the top of a pyramid. That's what will help anyone succeed and rise to the top of all pyramids. So that's the theory. That's why the symbol of the unfinished pyramid is meant to symbolize universal theme or universal rules. Those are the rules I hope you folks will have at the end of the year in your Rules for Life journals. Universal rules that become your roadmap to success in all atmospheres. The top of the pyramid, the eye itself, the platinum tip, that which makes anyone rise to the top. That's what I hope your journals will contain. So, with the symbolism out of the way, let's go to what was specifically said, because this is absolutely brilliant. Everything the light touches is your kingdom. What does that mean? Well, to figure that out, we have to look at what was excluded. So first we'll discuss that dark territory that exists around the edges of Mufasa's kingdom. So first we'll start with what happens when you are dropped into a new place. Imagine you are on an alien planet. It's going to be difficult because the very theory itself goes against the ability to do this. But imagine you're on an alien planet, all right? And you have nothing to link to as far as experience goes. Everything around you is foreign. The ground itself is this purplish color that you've never seen before. The air itself is a green haze that you've never seen before. Imagine what that would be like. Well, we don't have to imagine. Just look at how other animals react to brand new environments. So as you see, this rat moves very cautiously. Is this step going to kill me? Is that going to kill me? Okay, I can go eat that food. I'm going to check around this corner. Okay, nothing chopped my head off. Okay, I'm going to run over to that piece of food. Every single step is caution. Every single step has the hint of danger to it. The rat thinks it could be killed at any moment. It is in uncharted territory, or more importantly, unconquered territory. So, by the reverse side, territory you are comfortable around, it's safe, it's orderly, it's conquered. We'll go back to the example of the people carving their territory throughout the wilderness. They have sailed to this new place, they're in this new territory, they're carving through the wilderness, and then they stop. They believe this is a good place to settle, then they start carving around their borders. All right? But why do they stop making borders? Eventually, in growing their circle, they stop. Why? Well, there could be many reasons. One, it could be that they just don't want to get too far away from their people. Another reason could be that the brush or the trees were so strong at that borders, it was taking too long to cut them down, so they stopped. It also could be they ended up going into somebody else's territory and they were attacked, whether by snakes, whether by other primates, or even other human beings. But they stopped for some reason. That's the shadowy territory. That's the territory outside. There's a reason why they stopped. But that opposition, the reason they stopped, what do you think happens to that over time? Well, let me give you a hint. If I get a tax bill from the IRS and I put that tax bill over on the shelf, okay, and I leave it there, that tax bill does not go away. In fact, it grows in strength. It becomes a much more difficult problem to address daily, weekly, monthly, and if I wait a whole year, that thing becomes a monster. Think about the aspect of the trees itself. The trees that were hard to cut down at the borders. What do you think happens to them? You think they dwindle in strength, or do you think they get stronger? That's right. They grow in strength. They become monstrous in size. That's what happens to the things at the borders. They do not dwindle in strength, they grow stronger. So let's go to light. We could spend a lot more time on that, but let's go into lights. So what is shining the light? I've kind of given you a hint to this already. Shining the light is making things safe. Shining the light is carving out that territory so you can see far away and start your town. It's safe, it's orderly, but more importantly, it's conquered. This is the territory, more than likely, you currently inhabit if you're able to sit here and pay attention to this lecture. Your environment is safe, it's controlled, it's playing by your rules. So right now, you are in an environment that is more likely safe, somewhat orderly, but is conquered. As in, you know the things around you, you know what's in the corner, you know what's right behind your computer. You're in a place where you can sit here and listen to this lecture. So the things around you are playing by a set of rules that you put into place when you conquered the territory. I know it's kind of abstract, but follow along with me. You can easily understand that by how you react to this place if it stops playing by the rules. As you can see, the area around these people stopped playing by the rules. Snakes started falling from the ceilings. Lava opened up below them. A sinkhole opened up and swallowed the house. The area around them stopped playing by the rules, and what's the first thing that happened? Well, if you were paying attention, the first thing they did was freeze. When your environment stops playing by the rules, you become the rat in the beginning of this lecture. Absolutely frozen. They no longer know where they are anymore. They are in uncharted territory. The area has become unconquered, therefore unsafe, therefore dangerous. And the first thing we do is try to process that change. And during that process, we freeze. So an interesting aspect to this is that's when the chaos in the world kind of announces itself to you. You know, you're walking down the side of the road and you see people just walking along talking. They're playing by the rules you put into place. And then all of a sudden, one person starts freaking out, talking to themselves, turning around, throwing water at an invisible stranger. And then you recognize that person, cross the street even to avoid them. They didn't play by the rules. They aren't playing by the rules of society. And how do you react? That person is no longer in the conquered realm. They've become something else, and we react accordingly. But again, that's only when the chaotic world announces itself to you. I assure you that the chaotic world, much like Scar, is slowly making its way through. It all depends on your ability to pay attention. How many of you can actually count how many times the players in white pass the ball? So, did you get the number right? I think it was 15. Okay. How many of you saw the gorilla? Now, what's interesting about this is some of you may have, and the argument there is, well, you weren't really paying attention that much to the passing. But the point is many people don't. They don't see the gorilla. They are so focused on counting how many passes are going along. They don't see the creeping gorilla that walks in, beats its chest, and then walks out. Why? Because you recognized an environment where all of them were just throwing a basketball. None of them freaked out as this marauder walked through. Therefore, they were playing by a set of rules. And as long as things play by a certain set of rules, we seem to ignore the things that may creep in. And the things that creep in are probably around you right now. Think about this. Look around you real quick. Try to identify as many things possible that are in need of repair. Things you could fix. Things that are not really announcing themselves, but may announce themselves to you right now. Look around your room and say, what here is in need of repair? Say that to yourself. And then see if anything pops out. What announces itself to you? Anything that you need to clean, fix, or fine-tune, anything like that. See if it announces itself to you. These are the snakes that slither their way into your territory. It's the loose bolt on the frying pan that has been loose for years and then suddenly falls when you're cooking that very important dish. It's the new sound you hear in your vehicle that you've been ignoring for months on end. It is the new bubbling sound that you hear in your pipes. It is scar. It is the attrition that exists in your kingdom that waits for you to ignore it for far too long. That is the snake in the garden. That's why it's such a fundamental story, and that's why it's such a universal theme. It is the chaos in your realm that, if ignored too long, will make itself known in an unpleasant way. In conclusion, that is why the snake in the Garden of Eden is such a fundamental story for mankind. Symbolically, it is that which exists in our conquered territory, that if left alone and unchecked, grows in strength. It does not go away. So everything the light touches is your kingdom. Everything that you have identified as safe and therefore have carved out and therefore have made orderly, that is the safe zone. That is what you have identified as safe. That's why everything the light touches is your kingdom. But there's always a boundary of shadows. They actually use this in psychology. Think about this. There are actually people who are terrified of going in an elevator, all right? So in order to help them deal with this fear, they slowly let them shine the light on that darkness that they've kept in their lives for so long. They don't run away from it because the fear doesn't go away. If anything, the fear gets more difficult to deal with the longer you put it off. So what do? First, they show them a picture of an elevator and see if they freak out, all right? If they don't, that's a good place to start. If they freak out, maybe they have to draw a picture of an elevator, a very rudimentary square, and put up and down sights or whatever. The point is, you got to start from a place of conquered territory, all right? So they look at the elevator, the picture of the elevator. Okay, they're okay with that. They even get bored with that. Excellent. Now, let's walk past a building that has elevators. That's a little scary. Okay, up to you. We'll walk slowly by it. All right, so they walk slowly by it. Eventually, after months, they get bored of that. Now that area is conquered. Okay, let's go into the building and look at a real elevator. I don't know if I can do that. Well, small steps. So We walk towards it, and they can look at it through. The glass. All right, and then they go away. They can barely handle it. All right, well, let's do 1 minute this day, and then a week later, let's do 2 minutes. After a while, they can walk up to the elevator. After months of getting bored with that, walking in the elevator, you should be able to see the trend here. It's not that they are running away from the fear. It's that they're slowly shining light on their kingdom itself. They're slowly shining light on their fear. They are conquering their fear slowly but surely. That is the universal theme here with shining a light on your kingdom. So for this week's reflection, I want you to imagine your conquered territory. So the conquered territory is the world you go into and make your own. I want you to envision 2 scenarios and then write them down. The first scenario, imagine you are an adult, 30 years of age, and everything you wanted in life happened. You got everything you wanted. Now explain in detail what your life is like in your conquered territory. That's the first question. The second question, imagine you are an adult, 30 years of age, and everything you did not want to happen happened in your life. Everything went wrong. Explain in detail what your life is like in your unconquered territory. See you next time.